This podcast contains discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Please use caution while listening. 18 plus or parental permission is strongly advised. Hey guys, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Nina.
And this is Being a Mom Sucks, a podcast about those tough parts of being a mom, partner, and life that no one wants to talk about, and how we are still good moms regardless.
Yay, yay.
Last week on Being a Mom Sucks.
Would you kill for your child? And all these moms are like, no, absolutely not. I would not kill for my. I'm like, what?
That's weird because I would.
It's very weird because I would too in a second. It's hard because with the spiritual journey that I'm on right now and trying to
like reconcile those feelings with
right, because I know that I shouldn't even think those thoughts, but you're talking about my kid, man. Like, if there's any exception at all, it's that.
Yeah, the rules are not going to apply when it happens.
They can't. My dad was Catholic. My mom has been raised predominantly Baptist. I kind of strayed away a little bit, and I think it was more when my dad passed away that I did that. I couldn't understand. When my dad died, it was really hard for me. I remember telling my mom, like, there's no God. There's no way that there can be a God that would just take my dad from me like this. And I remember my mom telling me she was really upset because I just lashed out at her, like, God's not real. And I think that it scared her to think that didn't believe in God. I've always kind of just been open with Christian, like, this is what you believe and this is what you believe. I can't make you believe any different. It's not my job to do that.
And I agree with you, and that's part of a discussion we've been trying to have with, like, our parents and stuff, because I grew up, my dad is Lutheran, my mom is Catholic, and they both very much involved in the church. And then Zach's family is all Baptist, and they're very much involved in the church. So we've been constantly getting going to church with him, or he needs to know this stuff, and Zach and I are of the mindset that he can choose when he's old enough to learn about this stuff. He can choose what he wants to believe, because I remember growing up and I quote unquote believed that way because that's all I knew. Becoming an adult and facing different issues in your lifetime, different traumas and stuff, I began to question. And then that fucked with me too.
You want to ask questions, but then it's like, it's hard. You do feel a lot of that judgment. I look at churches and how they are now, and it's very different compared to the way it was when I was growing up, trying to go to church or going to church with my mom and stuff. There's a lot more youth conversations with some friends of mine over our beliefs. My friend told me, well, you're just not there yet. And when she said that to me, it kind of, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't think I'll ever be there where you're at, because
with certain things.
I don't know how to say it. The God that I worship every day, the person that I pray to, I don't see him as an ugly, vengeful,
hateful
person. I know that he's mighty, but I just don't believe that he's vengeful. I don't believe that he is hateful. And if you're telling me that God doesn't like this, then why does that exist?
Right. I don't want Jeremy growing up thinking certain things that are said and that I don't agree with. You know, I'm a very open and accepting person, and I don't believe that it's any of my business what someone does in their personal life, as long as they're not hurting anybody else or themselves. And I just find that a lot of people use religion to justify hate towards others, and I don't find that acceptable. And I don't want Jeremy raised that way. And then I know that comes back on me, like how I'm going to teach him about those things. Mm-hmm. But when I have people who are like, you know, you need to be in the church and he needs to be learning these things and raised that way, and I don't want him raised in the church because I don't want him to learn that way. Right. I will teach him what I know, and he, when he gets old enough, can do the research himself, but I don't want him raised with those thoughts in his head.
I feel like the church likes to create a lot of fear And I feel like there's enough of that in the world already that it doesn't have to be pressed. And I think that that's the angle that they go to try to bring people in, is they use fear. And I think that that's wrong. I feel like it should be love. Like that's where it should come from, love. Honestly, that's what brought me back to the church, was love. It wasn't that I was going through anything specifically. It was more that I watched my sister go through something and then saw her start going to church. Before I knew it, her and my mom were both going back to church. And then at the same time, I have my friend over here who's, not really pressing church on me, but more like, if you're free Sunday, you can come, I'd love for you to come to church. And then like just hanging out with her every day and seeing how she was, I could see God in her. I could see how patient she was with certain things that would drive me up the wall. I'm like, girl, I'm about to lose it over here. And she would be like, nah, you just, like, who cares? Like, let's just move on to something else. And it wasn't that she was like, no, girl, God doesn't want you to do that. We need to pray about it. Or she would just turn my focus to something else and just be like, no, we're going to do this over here. Like, let's just ignore that. And we're going to come over here and do this. And it was never, ever like, no, God doesn't want you to feel this way, or she's never pushed religion on me. It's just seeing the way that she is and knowing that it's because she goes to church, she goes to Bible study, she talks to God every day, and that I could see the peace in her. And I was
you could see that change.
Right. And so I'm like, I want that. I want to not have to worry about certain things. I want to be able to say, no, I gave that to God and I'm done with it. I'm not going to sit here and worry about things that I know are beyond me. I mean, there's sometimes where there's only so much you can do. And once you've done everything that you can do, you have to just turn it over. You're just like, look, I've done literally everything that I can do to fix this. I just need you to come and help me get it done, or fix the rest, or whatever. And for me, when I pray or when I feel stuck or frustrated, it's helped me more because I just start thinking about things like the story of how God was on the crucifix and there was thieves that were next to him and how he promised one paradise. And it's like all the dude did was believed in him. That's all he did. He believed in him. For me, I'm just like, okay, all I have to do is believe with all my heart and give my heart to God, and he's going to have me. I've been through so much that I can't believe anymore that he doesn't have me or that he hasn't had me. I've just been through too much to not believe. I've always been like, okay, universe, come through. Oh man, look at the universe looking out for me right now. And I was like that for a long time. But then I would say, that's my dad, he's watching over me. I have angels that look out for me. And once I started saying, God has me, I felt more blessed. I felt more at peace. I felt like I was giving praise where it needed to be given. And I could feel it coming back to me. Little things too. It would be something like I had a bill that was due and it was like a cutoff, and I was like, man, shit, like, what am I gonna do? And then the next day, I don't know if I got like an extra shift at work, or maybe Perry got we're gonna have overtime on Saturday, y'all it was something that came through like that, and I was like, oh my God, yes. And I was like, man, this is crazy, about to have the water shut off, and now we have the money to pay it. And little things like that, it's like, how does that happen, and why? I could have just been it's just hard. It's hard for me to not believe that someone has me and is watching out for carrying me, because there's times when I'm just like, I can't get up. I can't do it. I can't do today. I just cannot. Here lately, it's become more, it's hitting me harder right now. I don't know why, but I just feel kind of backed into a corner, and I'm trying to get out, but it's hard, quicksand, and I can't get up. I pray, and I pray for everyone. I pray for my family. I pray for my friends. I pray for my enemies, people that I know don't like me. I pray for them too. And it's hard to want good for people that don't want good for you.
Yeah. But do you feel like in doing that, praying for them, that it's bringing you some sort of peace to handle that better?
I think that it does, because it kind of brings me, it's like I'm still there in that person's life. I'm still here, if you should you ever decide to come back and that you want to be my friend or that you want to be in my life or that you want me to be around you, I'm going to be here. It's crazy because I think that I've always been that person. I've always been that friend. I don't need to talk to you every single day, and I hope that my friends know that. Like, I'm always here. We don't have to speak every day. We don't have to talk all the time, but I'm here. And that goes for my enemies too, like people that I've lost touch with, people that I was friends with for all my life and I don't even talk to them now. Like, if they needed me, I would be there. In a heartbeat, I would be there.
Right.
That right there it's only because of God that I'm able to say that and that I'm able to be there and be that person, because I can let go of all the hatefulness that was between us and say, no, I'm here.
Forgive. And
I can forgive. It hurts my heart, but I know that everything happens for a reason, and I think that sometimes God takes us in different directions for different reasons.
Right.
When meeting my friend that's religious, we met in a non-religious group of people, in a very non-religious group of people, and I never knew that she was religious until we started hanging out more, and I was just like, oh man, like, how can someone like you hang out with all these crazy people? And she was like, well, God put me here. This is where God wanted me to be. More than anything, I see it now, and I feel like God put her there for me.
To reach out to you and bring you back.
And it's just crazy because I was so drawn to her immediately, and I didn't know why. And I was always next to her. We would sit next to each other all the time, and that I looked for all the time. I'm like, where's she at? Where's she at? You know, where's my girl? And I never knew that was something that was going to happen between us. I never knew that, like, she was going to be the person to say, hey, come on. I'm grateful for her. And we don't see eye to eye on everything, but I'm still so grateful for her because she restored my faith. She helped me get my faith back. Not having faith, it makes everything harder for me, but also, you know, I still struggle because I still question God, and I still question what he's doing and how and why and when, and it's hard, and all I can do is try my best to just stay faithful.
Yeah.
Looking back on some of the stuff that I threw, or right after my dad died, we were in a really bad car accident.
Remember that? You and your sister?
And it's so crazy, dude, because when that happened, it was Father's Day weekend, and we were driving down to the cemetery, and Christian was in the car. It was me, my sister, and Christian, and my mom was following. And Christian, he wasn't listening. He wouldn't stay buckled in his seatbelt, and he was just being all hyper, and I called my mom, and I was like, hey, can we pull over and put Christian with you? Because he's not staying buckled in. Yeah. And he's not listening. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So she's like, we'll pull over and we'll go to the restroom and we'll switch, put him in my car. So I was like, okay. So we stopped, put Christian in her car, and then we hopped back on the road, and it started drizzling a little bit. And then before I knew it, we were hydroplaning, and then we were flipping. The car was flipping. It flipped at least 4 times. When I tell you, it was the scariest. So scary. It was the scariest thing ever. It was weird. Everything went silent. Like, it was so quiet. And I could hear the car crunching like a can around us. And I could hear like money, like change falling and stuff. It sounded like a can was full of stuff and it was just shaking and crunching at the same time. While it was happening, I could hear all these things, and all I could do, like, I don't remember like turning my head, looking around. I just reached my arm out to hold my sister in her seat, because all I was thinking was, she's gonna fly out of the car. I reached my arm, I was holding onto her shirt, and then all of a sudden I saw a huge flash of, like, it got really bright, and I was like, oh my God. What happened was the windows all busted off the car, and I thought she flew out, but I was still holding on to her, and I didn't realize that I still had her. And it was crazy, dude, because I could feel a presence, and that presence was just saying to wait, just wait. That's all I could hear in my head was, just wait. It's okay, just wait. And I could feel on my chest, so like a hand just holding me in place. It's gonna be over in a minute. Oh, wow. And it was crazy because I heard it and I could feel it, and I wasn't afraid. I was not scared. When we finally landed, we landed on the tire. We were like in a soft, I don't know, dude. It was like real soft where we landed. The grass was real high and it was just wild. It was like a cushion, you know. When we landed and I got out of the car, I looked over and I could see my sister and I knew she was there and she was alive and she was okay. And I jumped out of the car and the first thing I saw was my mom screaming, running towards us, because she was driving behind us and saw all of this happen. She was just like, oh my God. We were in my dad's car. My dad's car was given to me after he died, and all the stuff that was in his car, I left in his car. He had just had one of his work uniforms dry cleaned, and it was in the back, in the dry cleaning bag and everything. It just stayed back there. And so whenever I would drive the car, I would look in the rear view and I could see his uniform back there all the time. And so it was just, I never messed with it. I just left it there. And dude, when I was running to my mom, his uniform was just laid out, just laid out in the grass. And like, we were covered in mud and dirt and debris, and that uniform was just laying there perfectly clean, untouched, just laid out on the floor. And it was just so weird. And I remember the police showed up and it was a whole ordeal. And then they did a sobriety test and all that on me. And the officer was like, you're in shock. Y'all need to go to the hospital. When I looked back at the car, I was like, oh my God, I could have lost Christian because the whole back of the car was smashed in.
Oh my God.
Where he was
thank
sitting.
God y'all decided to take him out.
It was all like, it all happened for a reason. And then when we get to the hospital, there was a moment where it was just me and my sister, and we were sitting in the room, we were waiting. I think my mom was with Christian or something, and it was just me and her. And I looked at her and I was like, Leisha. And she just looked at me. We both knew. And I told her, I was like, Dad was in the car with us. And she was like, I know. We cried and cried and cried because we both felt the exact same thing. The hand on our chest holding us and telling us to wait and to just be silent and be still. Like that's how it felt. Like, just don't make a move. Don't make a sound. This is going to be over soon. Just wait. We walked out of that accident without a scratch on our body. Like nothing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nothing, a single scratch. They gave us like a narco to just like calm us down, but there was nothing. Like, we had no physical injuries at all.
Yeah, that was definitely, someone was watching out for y'all.
And so it's hard for me to believe that there's not a greater power that is holding me and has constantly been there to catch me at every single fall. Even getting pregnant at a young age and going through that, it was hard. I was by myself and a kid, not knowing what was going to happen, and all these changes in my body, and it was a scary time. But again, God was there, because my parents, they didn't turn their back on me. They didn't throw me out. They were right there with me the whole time. And I believe that was God. It was because of their faith that made them the parents they were to me. It's hard for me to not give that credit, because I can't imagine anybody else doing that for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of my experiences that have made me want to be a better person or to walk a better path. It was just heavy. It was just so heavy on my heart. It was like I could hear God saying, like, enough is enough. Just come over here and rest. You have worn this armor long enough off, and come over here. And that's how I felt. I felt like all my battles, all my fights, all the struggles that I've been living with are done, and I'm done fighting. I'm done going to war. And I just felt that heavy on my heart. Like, you're done with all this. It's time to move on to this. And that's why I wanted to get baptized. I feel like if people know me and know what I've gone through and can see that I'm faithful and that I have faith and I put my faith in God and can see that and learn anything from that, I think that's what God wants me to do.
Yeah, to use you as a witness.
Right. Me personally, I've always felt like I couldn't be in church because I wasn't worthy enough. That I always felt like, well, why would God care about me? I suck. I don't think that there's anything great about me or that it's worthy enough about me that he would give two shits about me and care about me or do anything for me. Like, why would God do anything?
Yeah. I think that's a feeling that a lot of people have.
And it's crazy because he wants us most. He wants the broken. He wants the beaten. He wants the defeated. He wants us most because our story and our testimony is greater. It's greater because of what we've gone through, because of what we've overcome. I think, like you said, like, it's people that have gone through these things that can say, oh my gosh, you know, I've been there.
Yeah. And you face the struggles and were able to still have your faith and come out of it.
Right. I'm not perfect, dude. I'm far from it. But I still think that I have more patience now than I did before. Mm-hmm. And I think that even in my relationship, I love, and this is going to sound bad, but I'm not a toxic person, but I do love a good argument. And, and I think that now I'm more like, I don't think I really want to fight right now. Like, this is not
worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Life is just too precious, and the time that we have is not promised. And I think that that's where I am right now. Like, I think that that's where I'm at. I feel like every day I'm getting older. My kids are growing up. I'm getting closer to being here, you know, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life struggling or hurting or fighting or being like, I just want to be, you know.
Just want to be at peace.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want my kids to see me hurt or struggling or any of those things. I want my kids to see me happy, and I want my partner to see me happy, and I don't want to fight and bicker over little things. Mm-hmm. You know, my niece just lost somebody very close and dear to them, and I just can't imagine not waking up and being here with my family. And if that did happen, what am I leaving behind for them? Mm-hmm. Are they going to know that they can pray to God every day and that they can think of me and know that I'm with God? Or I don't want to leave my kids with questions.
You want to give them a foundation of
something, but also I do believe in letting them choose for themselves, because
that's my biggest thing is whatever he chooses, he has to believe it, and he has to know that it is what he believes and it is his convictions. And I just feel like, not saying that people who are raised in the church don't believe it and don't have those convictions, but I just want him to know for sure that it's because it's what he wants and not because it's what I told him.
Exactly.
Because that was my issue, is I was always told that this is how it is, and then growing up and I started to question, and I'm like, wait, but I don't believe this, and this. Why don't I believe this and this? You know, why don't my beliefs match up with what you're telling me? And then that led to me trying to learn about other stuff and figure it out for myself. I have my minor is in theology, so I spent a lot of my college years studying different religions and different belief systems and stuff to try to figure it out, because this has always been, faith and spirituality has always been a big deal in my life to me. It is something that's near and dear to my heart, but it's not something, like I said, that I'm willing to tie myself down to, oh, I'm just Baptist, oh, I'm just Lutheran, oh. It's something that's always growing and changing and learning. So to me, that's more how mine comes out in that, versus I belong to this church and it's this specific belief system.
See, and I think that that's a healthy way to be. I think that that's probably where my struggle lies, is because I do believe in other things. When I stepped away from the church, it was more, I would always say I'm a spiritual person, because that's how I felt. I felt spiritually connected, but I just didn't know where I fit in, because there's different things, different parts of different religions that make sense to me. I hear that 100, because I can relate to that. I can relate to that. And I think that that's probably where my biggest struggle is, because I do think that and I do feel that way.
It gets hard when other people don't understand that, and then they I have people in my life who approach me in a certain way, and I think they think that I'm anti-God or the opposite of that, and that's not the case at all. It's just that I don't read the Bible every day and I don't go to church every Sunday, but that doesn't mean I don't have a connection and that I'm not in communication with whoever's out there.
No, dude, I can see God in you.
Oh, thank you.
I can, because of the way that you are with your child.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry now.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's because I'm on my period. I'm so emotional right now. Fuck.
I hate that.
God damn it. But I see God in you because you're so patient, you're so loving, not just with Jeremy, but with your family, with Zach. I see how you've been a daughter, to your mother, and the sister that you've been to your sister. I can see God in you. I can see God in all of y'all. And I think that, we don't realize that we put off that energy. We don't realize that people can see these things in us. But every day somebody's watching, and every day somebody sees something and they're like, oh shit, maybe I should try to be a little more patient. Maybe I should try to be a little more loving or whatever. And, we don't realize that that's God shining through us. It's God speaking through us. My grandma told me one day, like before you even thought of, God knew your name. That's crazy to me because we think we name our children and their names are chosen before we even know them. That's wild to me because could you imagine, Jeremy, any other name?
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Could you imagine your name, any other name?
No.
It's so weird to me. I'm happy that we're close enough that we can have these conversations and that we can question things and experience things, and I don't have to feel a certain way and you don't have to feel a certain way, because I've never felt like you weren't a godly person or a spiritual person or anything like that.
But that makes me feel good because all I want to put kindness out there. I want to put love out there. I want to put all those things that God wants out there. That's what I want to people to see in me. And
you are that person. You do all those things. I've never known you to be a hateful person ever in my life. Like, I don't think I've ever seen you be ugly to anyone. Like even the people that have wronged you and have done ugly things to you, like I still have never ever seen you be ugly to anyone ever. Like I've never seen it.
Yeah, I try not to. Usually if I have negative feelings towards someone, I just try to distance them from myself and let that be the end of it. Because I don't want to put out bad things and then have it come back, No,
absolutely. And we can call it God or we can call it a beautiful spirit because it's one of those things for sure. I personally think it's healthy to ask questions.
Yes, I agree with
you. And because I've just never been a person to just conform and to just follow.
Right.
I just can't be that. I'm just not that person.
Yeah,
and,
same. Me either.
So for me, I do believe in God. I pray to God every day. He's my Lord and Savior. And I don't feel like I would be here without him. But I still have questions.
Yes,
I still have questions.
Exactly.
And I'm still trying to get an understanding.
Human, and regardless, you're still, you're not perfect, and you want to know things. You want to try to figure it out. I think that's a part of a healthy faith, is that you do question it, and you do try to understand it on a deeper level than just face value.
Yes.
I think that's really important. And I think it's great that you're doing that. And I'm happy that you've come on this journey and that it's been nothing but positive for you.
Like, I want my family to be there too, but I want it to be on their time too. I want it to be when they're ready.
Do you take the boys to church with you?
No, I haven't taken them yet. I think that Kai is ready to go. He told me he wants to go with me. So I'll probably take Kai here soon. But Gabe, it's more a behavior thing. I'm just worried about if he's going to behave.
Oh yeah, I'll be running around everywhere.
Right. They have a little Sunday school for the kids. So he could go in there. I just still worry,
Yeah. Oh, I get that. Yeah, I get that with Jeremy. I'm just always you always worry about them, and then you want them to be good, and then if they're not, and how are other people going to think of you as a mom?
Right, and then it's church. I don't want him to go in there and act crazy.
Yeah.
Because he will.
Right, I get that. And then the Sunday school people are like, oh my God.
Yes, so we got to have a talk.
Oh my God, that would be the worst.
Yeah, with Perry, one day I was like, I would love for you to go to church with me, and he's just like, I'm just not ready. And I was like, okay, that's fine. one day they locked down one of the boys' schools. I think I don't know what was going on. There was a shooting or I don't know, maybe there was a person on campus that didn't need to be on campus. I don't know we didn't know what was going on at the moment. We just knew that the school was locked down. Mm-hmm. I told Christian, I was like, hey, they locked down your stepbrother's school. I don't know what you do, but whatever you do, if you pray, you light a candle, you say like whatever it is that you do, I need you to do it.
I need you to do it and make sure.
And he was safe. And he was just like, okay. And so, I don't know if he's changed his beliefs or if he still feels the same way or what, I really don't know. For Christian, I think he believes more in like science.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Than anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense for him.
And, and I think that he's more on that aspect of it.
I've always found that funny is that people, they go one of two ways. Well, there's many ways, but they usually it's God or it's science. And I find that very funny to me that people think they're mutually exclusive because in my mind, God created science. If God created all of us, then God created science.
Right. And that's how I think too.
Yeah, so science is of God. So it always baffles me when people are like, no, it has to be this way because of science, and it can't be that. Well, where do you think that came from?
Right, exactly.
I'm like, I don't understand why people feel that it has to be separate.
And it doesn't. It really doesn't.
I mean, just like art and music and all of that, I feel all of that comes from God or the higher power that's out there. When your favorite song comes on and that feeling you get, when you're just in it and jamming, there's nothing like that. And that's like a whole different
It's a spiritual experience.
Yeah, it's a whole different connection that you're having. Or when you're seeing your favorite concert, your favorite band live, like it's completely different. How could that not be a connection to something greater, something spiritual? I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. I believe that we do have connections to spiritual beings outside of us, but I'm just not 100% on exactly what.
Yeah. I can accept that. I think that everybody's journey is different, and I think that God speaks to everyone different, just the way that we as mothers speak to our you just have Jeremy, but your mom, let's use your mom for an example. Like your mom talks to you a certain way versus the way she talks to your sister. She loves you a different way than she loves your sister because you're two different people. So I think that it's the same thing with God. Like he comes to us in different ways so that we can take it. It's for you. He knows that he can come to you in this way, so that's the way he comes to you.
He approaches you in the way you're going to listen. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. He's a loving and understanding God, and he's willing to bend and to say, okay, this doesn't work for you. I'm going to find something that works for you, and I'm going to get in there. I'm going to
reach out to you, and
I am going to touch your heart some way or another. I'm going to make it in there.
I agree with that. I think that that's absolutely right. And
it's up to whoever that person is, it or not take it.
Yeah, exactly. To accept it or not.
Because there's times when we don't recognize our blessings.
Yes, 100%.
We're like, oh man, you start praying and you're like, oh God, I need help with this, or oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills, and I just need this money, and oh God, if you could just let me win the lotto, if you could just let me do this, if you could let me do that. And then your phone goes off and it's like someone needs a shift picked up at work and you're like, ew, I don't want to go to work. But it's like literally God just answered your prayers.
Right. It wasn't in the way that you wanted, but it's the way that you needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel better in the sense that I can, like I said, I can give it to God. Like when there's things that I'm like, man, my niece, they lost someone this week, and it was just so heartbreaking, and I felt so helpless, and I wanted to be there, and I wanted to hug her, and kind of hovering because I kept texting her over and over, just trying to check on her, and you just feel so helpless. And I was just like, all I can do now is I just got to pray for peace and pray for strength for everyone to get through this, and know that God is going to come through for that. And that's all I can do.
Yeah, just have the faith that he's going to comfort them.
Right. And then just try to do whatever I can do and comforting them as well. Still, like I said, you feel helpless. In certain situations, you do feel helpless. Like, I don't I have nothing.
Yeah, there's only certain ways that you can help. But I mean, that's for everyone is going to be that way, you know. It's not everybody can help financially or physically or anything like that. You just do what you can do and then, I don't know, hope for the best.
All right. Well, it's been so good talking. I love this time. I love that we can, I know that we're never supposed to go religion or politics, but I'm glad that we're breaking away from that. I'm happy that we had this conversation and that we can share our faith.
Yeah, it's also different when you have two adults who can maturely have the conversation, even if they don't see eye to eye. That's a big difference there.
Absolutely.
And I love having these conversations too. I don't mind talking about these things at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully people don't mind listening to it.
Right. I hope I wasn't too big of a crybaby today. I'm so sorry. I'm serious. I did not mean to get so emotional, but I'm on my period, like I said, and whatever.
It's normal.
Falling apart over here. But we're going to get out of here, guys. We hope you guys have a great week.
Yes.
Be kind, make good choices, be the best that you can be, and don't have a good day. Have a great
day. Bye, guys. Love y'all.
Bye. We love y'all.
Jeremy says bye.